Most people think investing is about finding the next Nvidia or Tesla, but some of the richest investors in the world built wealth a much simpler way. By owning hundreds of the biggest companies at once. This is the S&P 500, and here's how it actually works. So what is the S&P 500? The S&P 500 is one of the most important measurements of the stock market, but a lot of beginners misunderstand it. The S&P 500 itself is not a company. It's an index that tracks around 500 of the largest companies in the United States. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and Google. So instead of betting everything on one company, investors can own a small piece of hundreds of businesses. Why do people invest in it? The reason the S&P 500 is so popular comes down to one idea: diversification. If you only own one stock, your success depends on that one company. If that company struggles, your investment can struggle. But the S&P 500 spreads your money across hundreds of companies. Some companies fail, some companies slow down, but new successful companies can replace them over time. How does it help build wealth? The biggest advantage is time. The stock market does not move straight up. There are crashes, recessions, bad years, but historically, the S&P 500 has grown over long periods because companies continue creating value. And this is where compound growth becomes powerful. Your investments can make money. Then that money can also start making more money. Over years and decades, the effect can become massive. Even Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors ever, has recommended low-cost S&P 500 index funds for many investors. Because most people do not have the time to research hundreds of individual companies, instead of trying to pick every winner, you can own a piece of the overall market. But there are risks. The S&P 500 is not guaranteed money. It can drop, sometimes by a lot. During crashes, investors can see their accounts fall. But the goal is not to sell. Long-term investors usually focus on years, not days. The biggest mistake beginners make is panicking every time the market fails and selling. All in all, the S&P 500 is not about getting rich overnight. It's about owning great companies, giving them time to grow, and letting compound growth work. Sometimes investing isn't about finding the next big winner. It's about staying consistent long enough.